So today we're going to talk about the power of integrated community engagement, which I agree, not the most exciting sounding title ever, but oh my god, you should put community inside your game because it makes such a big difference is a little too long and a little less professional than, probably should. So a bit about me, there's my giant face, Tara J. Brannigan. I'm currently the community lead and client service manager at 5CA. We're a customer support and soon to be community management outsourcer in Utrecht, the Netherlands. Previously, I've worked at a whole bunch of different game companies throughout the years, most recently free-to-play mobile publishing with Flare Games down in Karlsruhe, Germany, PickPock, Wellington, New Zealand, PopCap, focused more on kind of the Facebook model. So before we get to talking about the new model, I'd like to talk briefly about the old model. So you're ready to launch a game, gotta have a community, so what do? Put up a forum, awesome. Get PHP.BB, throw up a forum, we're good, right? Done. Now there's social, and whatever social is to you, you can define it however you want. But there's all these different opportunities to engage with people outside of the old model forum. And WhatsApp confuses me and Snapchat makes me feel really old. So, let's go with one of the bigger ones, Facebook. 2.2 billion people. I mean, that's an awesome audience, right? Not as much as it used to be. So part of the issue there is that the effectiveness has throttled down considerably on Facebook. So back in the day, specifically when I worked at PopCap, we had several posts that got more than 100% organic engagement, which meant that more people than liked the page saw it. And I'm not talking small pages, I'm talking pages that had 3 million people on them. Because Facebook's old model was that if you got likes, if you got comments, it would just show it to progressively more and more people. Problem was it kind of turned into a super spammy situation for people, so they started throttling that down. And they have continued to throttle that down and down and down. And today, if you're a page that's over 500,000 people, you are really fortunate if you are hitting above that 2% mark. A couple pages I've seen have hit 5 to 10. Those are legends. Outside of spending money, you are just not getting that these days. And as a side note, Facebook has outright said a couple years ago that eventually organic reach will hit 0. So you will have to pay to reach your fans, no matter what. Off of that, you've also got this drop-off effect. I'm kind of picking on Facebook here, but this could be any platform. So say you've got a game that's got 30 million people, you kind of pick an opportune moment, you send them an interstitial, it's really shiny, it's really pretty, it says, join our community, go here. I'm kind of playing your game, I don't really want to go anywhere. I'll do it later, I swear I will. You've lost at least half of the people that could have been your community. Of those that click through, they show up and they're like, cool, gonna be part of the community. Ah, crap, I gotta sign up. I don't want to sign up. I just want to go back to playing the game. Screw it, I'm done. Or even, I'll come back later. They don't. So by the time you've actually got people to like the page, you've got a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of your actual players that are on that page. And of those people, only certain portions of them are ever going to see your content. And of those, a minuscule few are actually good. So why change outside of those? So control, you're not subject to third-party platforms and their algorithms or priorities. So kind of back in the day when I was working primarily on Facebook titles, we do these comprehensive campaigns that, a month worth of assets come in. Facebook has changed what the size is for all of those assets. All of these things that you've spent all this time and money for all now look terrible. And you've got two choices. You either go with it as is or you rework it. If it's your own platform, you kind of control that. And off of that, it's your platform, it's your rules for participation. So if you want your community to be a little more edgy and you don't want them to get banned, cool, you can set that. Or if you want a really safe space, you don't have to rely on Facebook's moderation to account for that. So acquisition and retention. So the days of 25-cent user acquisition are long gone. Like that hasn't been the case for so long. I couldn't tell you what it is today because that's really not my area, but I know it's more than that. Retaining players positively affects ROI over time. That's not conjecture, that is fact. If you get adding and you do not have something that points people to community, you have lost an opportunity to retain those customers. And even if they're not customers, if you're a game that relies on, clans or matchmaking. You need a lot of people who are playing the game for free in there. Do you want to pay to get those players back? Diversity and feedback. So a more accessible community leads to more engagement from those who are not just the hardcore audience. So that kind of drop-off effect, you're only going to kind of get the most passionate of the most passionate, and that kind of swings both ways. And that's not to say that you shouldn't listen to those people, like your hyper engaged, hardcore audience absolutely have fantastic insight to share with you. But when they are the only people speaking up, the broader audience just kind of sits back and is quiet. They don't say anything because they have a different opinion. When you have more voices in the mix, you get a little more opportunity for the people who are a little more chill to have their say as well. And designing for the vocal minority is a gamble. So if you have a forum and you have, say 20 guys who post, "Oh my God, why did you do this? This is the worst thing ever. You've ruined the game." And those are the only people you're paying attention to. You're discounting the 99.9% of players who might be perfectly fine with it, who might actually love it. It might be an improvement for them. But if you're not kind of measuring the effectiveness there and you're only paying attention to them, you're doomed from the start. So integrated solutions. A while back, I was working on a game called Zombie Gunship Survival with Flare Games. We knew that this game had a lot of potential to have a really engaged community. The story was cool, the setting was really neat, good opportunity. So we worked with a partner called KT Play. I'm not saying use this solution, there are other solutions out there. For us, this was absolutely the right fit though, because it gave us the features and kind of the control that we needed to create the community that we wanted. I will be the first to admit we did not do a great job of it. We kind of rushed it at the end, so we are relying on players to, one, get through kind of a 20-minute tutorial where we never mention the community, we never direct anyone there. And then two, to go find that little button that says community and click it. Thankfully, it's right above the bell. People did find it. And when they clicked on it, they got this. This is inline, it doesn't go anywhere. You X that out, you're right back at the main screen of the game. But all of your community content is here. We skinned it to look like the game. We used icons that are represented in the game. It's not a separate experience for people. The only thing that they have to do, and this isn't something that we could remove, is they don't have to sign up, they just have to agree to a terms of service because GDPR have to be, accountable there. But also, because their game ID is tied to their community ID, if they are a toxic, terrible person and they get banned from the community, they can still look at it, but they can't create another account. They can't participate. They have to contact support. Maybe we'll unban them, maybe we won't. Otherwise, they have to reinstall the game and take a gamble of whether or not it's going to pick up their old ID. So from here, they can post new threads, they can upload photos, they can upload videos. We did throttle it so that they can't just post a video. Those were all moderated beforehand just to make sure. Photos, we didn't moderate quite so heavily, but we were pleasantly surprised that it really wasn't that bad. Results. So the Community Hub, 40 to 60% of people opened the Community Hub. And if you've ever tried to shove people outside of the game, you know that even getting 10% of people to click through to look at your Facebook page, let alone like it, is a miracle. Off of that are forums, which were, kind of a traditional forum model. One, I'm over-representing their success here. It's because if you try to represent less than 1%, you just can't see it here. So this is actually taking into account all games across the portfolio as well. So we're giving the forums more of a chance here. Still didn't even equal 1% of the player base. So payers engaging with the hub. This was kind of taken about 6 months in. So it does skew a little higher than probably the first 7 days. But anywhere between, 60 and 90% of payers regularly engaged with the community. Correlation does not equal causation. However, 60 to 80% of monthly revenue came from engaged on the Community Hub. And I will tell you that in a community position, when you can prove this, suddenly the conversation is not, why are we investing in community? Why do we care? It's, what could we be doing in community? What could we do more of? What insights can we get out of this? So it substantially changes what you can do. Some more results. We had 2 to 5 times the engagement on hub content versus Facebook fan page. That's just comments and likes. It doesn't include clicks. So we posted live events both in the hub and external, because an internal solution doesn't mean you don't also do those external things. It's just the results are substantially different. We had over 1.5 million community members after just 1 week. The Community Hub engagers actually played longer, so this was a big worry that we were going to integrate this community solution and that people would get distracted by it and they actually wouldn't play the game as much and therefore they wouldn't spend much money. Was people who engaged with the hub would play their normal game session. They'd go spend up to an hour in the community talking tactics, posting screenshots, strategizing. Then they would go play another full game session. People who did not engage with the hub were much more likely to play their one session and be done. Again, community ID tied directly to the game ID meant that there was less toxicity. So for the first week, we were all kind of on edge, tackling any content that came in. People realized very, very quickly that if you got banned from the community, you didn't get back into the community without making an effort. And as a result, it just dropped off very quickly. This gave us the opportunity to do much more complex content. So Nico Naughton, the senior community developer at that time, now the head of community, put together this amazing ARG teaser campaign that had audio files and cryptographic puzzles and the sort of stuff that you put it on Facebook, maybe somebody engages with it, maybe they don't. These players banded together, wrote scripts, and had solved the puzzle of the in like a day. And one of the guys actually built a little bot to decrypt the messages, and they loved it, and it was very highly engaging. We also got just so much user-generated content, and this was unsolicited. We did not ask, share your best piece of fan fiction, and then we get like 3 entries and we have to choose one. We didn't even make a contest. It just started pouring in, hundreds and hundreds of pieces, so that we actually had to create a whole new section that we hadn't planned for, because otherwise it was just going to overwhelm everything else. And just as a note, like this is the super condensed short form version of a presentation that my ex-employee gave at GDC. Highly recommend checking out. He shares a lot more insights about kind of the raw metrics there. He's also on Twitter, very nice, very approachable guy. He gave me the thumbs up to include his handle here, so feel free to reach out to him directly. And again, not to say that like that's the one solution that you should use. There are many different models, ranging from super complex, fully integrated community to these folks up in a very, very small company in New Zealand. I think it's like 20 to 40 people, runaway play. They do really cool nature games. The one thing that they did that was really interesting is their news, every time they have an event or something they want to drive engagement to, they just link to it. They link to their Facebook page here. They still get substantially more engagement on their Facebook page than most pages of an equivalent size and audience type, consistently. And then you've got, of course, Supercell, which is the kind of king of being on every platform that your user could possibly want to be on. They still actively push people to that content, and I guarantee that they are tracking who's engaging with that content, who's clicked the little heart, does that correlate to payers, do we invest more here? Best Fiends, they're really big on their YouTube channel, and they post a lot of content there. They drive people to it from within the game. They do incentivize some of it. Don't do that with Facebook, but YouTube's probably fine. And yes, the incentivized ones obviously overperform the high numbers. But even that TV commercial has 17,000 views. So getting started, start early. Like, do not try to do this a month before you launch. You really want to think about this as integral to your game design. You want to be starting 3-6 months early if you can. And you want to be thinking through, like, what's your motivation? Like, what is the player experience here? What are they going to get out of it? what do we as a business want to get out of it? Is this something that we care about? Is this, something we want to put priority on? And how are we going to measure the results? What are the triggers that we need to put in place so that 6 months from now we can look at amplitude and get the data that shows the results? And yeah, identify your tracking needs. And you want to review and iterate, because you're not going to nail it on the first try. Nobody does. Like, we didn't. There are absolutely things that I would change that would make this a much better solution. I would introduce the community and the new user flow. I would redirect people into that anytime we had really interesting content. We didn't do any of that. I'm sure we could get much better results if we did. And you just want to keep iterating. You want to consider this part of the ongoing evolution of your product. And just a special note on risk mitigation, anytime you bring the community into the game, and you give users the option to post things, you need to think very carefully about what's acceptable behavior, what are the things we're going to allow, what are the things we're not going to allow. If it's not allowed, how do we deal with that? Because otherwise you're going to end up with, some unsolicited duck pics. Thank you. I thought it was funny. So that's it. Any questions, please let me know. I unfortunately have to run to the train fairly quickly, but feel free to take a business card. Hit me up on Twitter. I'm pretty much there 24/7. Oh, okay. We do still have some time for questions, yeah.
What is the part of video content in user-generated content?
So we actually had the option for people to upload videos, and I will say it was not the easiest situation. Like getting video from mobile, ideally we would have built a solution that let them capture clips to upload into the community. We didn't do that. We still got a ton of video content. There was actually a guy in the community who within the first week had not only played through every level, he had created video walkthrough guides of every single one and uploaded them. And this is where this is interesting, because that guy did not engage in the community in any other way. He never commented, he never really otherwise just didn't really participate, but he was just a content machine. And yes, we could have spent thousands of dollars creating video walkthroughs. He did a better job of it, and all we paid for it was like, hey man, that was really awesome, thank you. Would you like some in-game currency? Like, we didn't incentivize it at all, but we of course said thank you and gave him some in-game loot, because why wouldn't you encourage that behavior?